Dan,
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Adrian, nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to be here at the Spectroline booth at the AHR Expo. How's your trip been down here?
Good, good. I actually grew up, our vacation time was here in Orlando, so I know it pretty well. So always like when the show comes here and doesn't. And the warm weather doesn't hurt as well.
This is my first time here, but it's a lot like Texas, so I'm used to it.
Okay.
It was real like 80s, 90s before we came out here, so it's the same weather for me.
And the humidity is around there as well.
Humidity is high where I'm at as well, so yeah. I'm used to it. But it's been great. It's a big event, a lot of walking, all that stuff. So here at Spectroline, you guys have a rich history as far as like the business itself being around for so long. You guys are celebrating 70 years. That's an incredible feat. I think that's a really good. That's how I. When a business is around that long, that's like a good thing, right? Because I've seen so many come and go, and they don't last. They don't stick around or anything like that. We've been proud because we're a family-owned business as well, to be around about 20 years. No. And that's it's not easy to do. No. Right?
No. Yeah. And it's, 7 years a lot as being third generation. I had a very good opportunity to work about 10 years with my grandfather. So not only did I work close with my father, but also with my grandfather as well, which was good. And, with 70 years, they went through a lot of different changes. And, those changes, he was able to pass down to me. And it's great. And we've been in the HVAC industry for, about 70 years as well. And it's been a fun. I've learned a lot here.
I just want to quickly point out that most people don't know how many industries or like how much you guys do other than HVAC. So you guys are a staple in these in more industries than just HVAC. So you guys do like the automobile stuff, and it's OEM in some places. So there's a lot of history in Spectroline.
Yeah, and the core product that my grandfather and his brother wanted to start was they want to make products that can help people, service their different vehicles or their different units. So the core product with UV leak detection is a dye additive that goes into the system, circulating systems, and help technicians find leaks, whether it's air conditioning, transmission fluid, engine, hydraulics, or stationary refrigeration systems. It's something that we've been very proud to do, help others. Quality with the OEs, keep the quality of their products on the production line when they go into servicing, and then as well as the aftermarket for the independent technicians that work with it.
And I just want to get, before we get into it, Spectroline specifically, I've used for almost 20 years. So, back in the day when I started in the field, I still have the original case that I had.
Yes.
Right? And I just kept refilling it. I would just go buy the refills, the sticks, And I still have that case. So I always show people I had this product when I started. I've tried other products, and I just want to make it clear. Early on in my career, I noticed that the quality was there, and this, because you guys, you take pride in it, right? It's not harmful to the system. It's it does what it needs to do. You find a leak with it, and it doesn't do any damage. And I can't say that for other companies, but we won't get into that. It's just a safe choice and an option for the technician.
Yeah. And I think with the products, exactly what you said, we wanted to make sure that it was safe for whatever unit it goes into. We wanted to have the long-standing history of the product, make sure, and not only that it can be used just for diagnostic sides, but it could be stayed in the system. So if you want to use it multiple times, you can. If you repair something and then when you add the refrigerant, you put our dye in just to check to make sure that everything was good before it goes back into service up and running. That was another thing.
Yeah, it's a good point that Matthew made to me, was that there's a preventative aspect to it, right? Maybe nothing's wrong with it, or you did a repair, like you said, and you want to put it in there to catch it before it's catastrophic,
Yeah, and one thing actually, because I was doing sales for one of our other markets, and one of the reps that was there, he was like, it was this little gentleman here was like the silent mechanic. He would go out, and while you were doing other works, if there's a leak, he's able to show himself by the leak coming out. So it was, a lot of times it's used for diagnostic. There's a catastrophic failure. They want to find it. Really, the key for it is for preventative maintenance to go, before those catastrophic leaks happen, you're rushing to start seeing it as it's coming, like weeping or leaking a little bit out.
And the more I've been in business, like I said, I've done this for a while now. We try to be more preventative, now versus before. Like you catch it on the tail end when like it needs like everything replaced, or the leak itself caused damage. Because there has been situations where I get to a system and maybe it doesn't have all the safeties that like a higher end system does, right? It's just a basic RTU HVAC system, and it lost the charge. And if they're on a maintenance contract or something like that, and you go there and you can do like a leak check every time, because all you need is that light, right? You just shine it, see if anything comes out, and if nothing comes out, you're good.
Correct.
So I've had instances where nobody knew there was a leak, and then I get called out and that compressor's dead.
Yep.
Because it just kept trying to run and run and run without any refrigerant. And that could have been prevented with, a solution like this. Yeah. So let's get into some questions real quick. What's the most valuable piece of advice you've ever received from a family member about running the business?
So the best piece of advice came from my grandfather. So I had a great opportunity to work with him, and it was when I was moving into sales. He had me do every facet of the business. He wanted me to get an appreciation of every level. Exactly. As a family business, to do that. So when I was going into sales and I was going to be, talking to customers and others of that sort, he said, one thing to do is, if you don't know an answer, the best thing to say is, I do not know it. I will go get the answer for you. And then for that time, get the answer, in a timely manner to get them there. And I think the key was, he was telling me to be resourceful, be a resource. And I think that's something as I've become, when I was the president, to see is, be a resource for everyone here. And if I don't know everything, I actually really say that I don't, but I will help find out that solution or that question they ask. And that's how I pass down to the people that I work here at the booth and in our company.
And it's funny that you say that, because that was something my dad instilled in me too. Like, you're not going to know everything. Now, what are you going to do about it? Right. Yeah. I don't know it. His thing was always, I don't know it, but I'm going to find the answer. And whether that's, us being able to help and fix, or telling them they need to, go with someone else or replace a unit, repair the unit, whatever it is. If we don't know the answer, we need to go and you need to be honest with the customer. That was always his thing too. Like, just tell them you don't know. You'll find the answer. You'll be back. You'll get back with them, like you said, in a timely manner. And I think the customers of any kind, whether it's if you're in the manufacturing side with products or service side like we are, they value the honesty and you being able to help them out at the end of the day, right? I mean, that's the most important part.
And as you said, you've known our products for 20 years. You still have the original kit. It's that trusting that hey, we're putting good product out. If you come for any technical questions, we do our best to help with that, and we continue to learn that way. So it's something that was the best advice as I got, to be resourceful and to know that you not know everything, but to get the person that answer in a timely manner.
And there's no shame in it.
No.
You just got to help your customer. What's one thing that you wish you could tell your younger self about taking over the family business? Which I'd be interested in hearing myself.
Yeah, I tell myself. I think my younger self too is when I first got in. I think a lot of time is, as a family-owned business, you want to prove yourself. You want to take it. So sometimes I took the job a little too seriously at times, and I really put a lot of pressure on myself, where now I've been able to, not take as much, have much pressure on myself. Take it, understand that mistakes are learning experiences, and not know that it's not the end of the world at the end of the day, and that you have another day. You go back and continue to do the same thing, learn from what you've done the previous day, and going. So I think it's just not to be as hard on myself.
Yeah, I talk about that quite often. Like when I started, I was 20 and I didn't take it serious. But I also, at the same time, like yourself, was hard on myself at times, right? And now, finally, I think I figured it out to where I can kind of balance it. I take it serious, but I also, I don't take it home with me. I don't like to drag, all that kind of stuff into my personal life and all, That's the hardest part, I think, about the family business. Technically, you're 24/7 your business, right?
Yes, yep.
But you need to separate it. You need to, live life. So I've had to balance that myself. And so I wish my younger self would have taken the job more serious, training and, just being better. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up at the end of the day, right? Like, we're all human. What is one quirky family tradition that you'd love to see implemented in the company culture?
One quirky family tradition. I'm trying to think. I think one of the things too, and maybe we'll get there one day, is and actually it's right here. We use. I will say I'm like Disney a lot. We grew up in Disney. So I would probably do one quirky thing is to do a company outing or something at Disney to get the sense with that.
Those are the little breaks that you need, right? And then, like bonding. Yeah, that's a good one. So how did Spectronics start?
So Spectronics started back in 1955. Beforehand, it was my grandfather and his brother. My grandfather was the sales guy, the one that traveled a lot, and his brother was the logistics / accounting side. Their father actually really wanted two of the brothers. There was 3 brothers, 2 of the brothers to work together. They decided to do that, and they formed the company. And it was actually called, first it was called Cooper Brothers.
Okay.
And we started off of that, and then it moved into a company called Blacklight Eastern. And with Blacklight Eastern, we were actually in a different market called NDT and laboratory. So they use UV for DNA analysis or non-destructive testing. When that happened, my grandfather was reading a magazine called Motor Age magazine back in the day, and they had a visible red dye that was out there. But a lot of people were complaining about how messy it was, false positives. They didn't really know. So my grandfather said, hey, what happens if there's a fluorescent dye that can be used? So when it's not fluorescent, it doesn't look like it, but you can see it when you go around to really pinpoint the leak. And he looked at it and developed a fluorescent dye.
So he invented the fluorescent dye, basically, right?
Yeah. For the AC system. Yep.
And that's awesome because, like you said, others, that red one, I've heard of that other one. And like you said, you don't know if you have a leak or not. It could give you a false leak. And this one, I've had to tell technicians sometimes, like, I understand, like, but like, it's like with anything, it's a learning curve. The first day that I used it, yes, I was covered in that dye because I didn't know any better. Now I don't get anything on myself. I know how to use it. I know how to use it properly, and just a simple cleanup. And I like that you guys include that glow away as well. That helps a lot. So with all that being said, you guys came out with this dye, and it's been to me helpful because you can show the customer, hey, you got a leak here, and you can actually show them proof, right? And if anything, I've had this happen to me too. I might think I have one leak, and I'm positive I know where it is, and all of a sudden I see like 3-4 other leaks that I didn't know about, right? And we can be like, okay, because the one thing I hate is callbacks. If I fix that one leak, and then I get a callback that it's still leaking, and it was somewhere else in the system, this could have showed that to me. That's what I love about it. What is the biggest challenge you face as the leader of a family-owned business, and how do you address it?
The biggest challenge of the family-owned business, I think one of the biggest challenges is my grandfather and my father, really set the path for the company, both of them, and being third generation. And the statistics usually say that third generations tend to not to do too well. But to really know, and I think that was going back to the question about putting a lot of pressure on myself, knows that, I am different than my father and grandfather. I've learned a lot from them, but I'm going to do it the way, with the different business environment, different changes going on with technology and everything. Do it the way that I feel is best for the business. So it's really trying to implement the style that I feel is great. But take the core, and as with the product, the core of it's helping the customers, the resourcefulness. Put the spin in today's world and the advancements that we have.
Yeah, you got to keep up with trends and different things that are going on, but still core values and everything that helped you get to 70 years, right?
Yeah.
And I feel you on that. Like, I'm basically a second generation. My dad was an electrician, and I do HVAC, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I had the same issue. Like, I wanted to be just like him because that dude could fix anything, could make any customer his best friend. So the customer service was always there. I was like, man, how do I emulate that? And I just had to figure it out on my own, like how to be myself and also have these qualities, but in my version of it. So,
and I think with this here today, my father growing up, I remember he used to do their own videos. We did it with customers and stuff, and it was on VHS for those.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I grew up on VHS.
Yeah.
I just saw it just a couple weeks ago. I have the tape, don't know how to play it. But I'm here today with you, and this is something that I guarantee my father and grandfather never thought that we'd be doing it on social media, on Instagram Live, but it's something that the technology has changed, and to embrace it.
You mentioned earlier it's different as far as like going to find the answer is different back then than it is now, because when I was getting into it, I'm sure you've seen it, you couldn't find anything online. It was you actually had to really find the answer, right? You had to go looking for it somewhere, and it was hard to do. Now there's more resources. You still have to do it, put in the work, after work, all that kind of stuff, but it's a lot different now. It's social media, it's YouTube, it's online. It's different. What are the key strategic initiatives you are currently focused on to ensure the company's continued success?
I think a lot of it is what we're doing here today, the social aspect of it. If you asked us maybe 7-8 years ago, we might not have been as I don't want to say open, but familiar with it, do it. But, especially in this industry compared to some others, they have really embraced the social media aspect of it yourselves. And I think to really embrace it, work with it, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now is to do that, and especially here at this show. I mean, it's the amount
amazing.
of influence. It's great.
Yeah,
it really is. To see it.
I encourage anybody that's ever wanted to, post. All it is like this itself. It's me using it. I do use it from time to time. I just have to show, that what I'm using at work, and that automatically makes you an influencer, right? Just because people want to know based on my experience. I'm not trying to push this on anybody. It's just that's worked for me, and this is my experience with it. Now, people will ask you for advice and things like that, and that's what social media is great for. You can see what other people are doing, see what works for them, and that's powerful. And you can learn from any mistakes that I've made. That's the number one thing. How do you encourage innovation and entrepreneurial thinking within the family business structure?
I think the thing is and as you see here today at our booth, we have a good amount of people here from our team, and I think a lot of it is the experience, is go through experience to learn it themselves. Because one thing my father and grandfather did for me is I learned it. Obviously they could tell me, they could do it for me, but learning it, and then afterwards when I did make that mistake or something, sit with me and hear me out. What was the thought process, or what was this? How did you see that it might affect it this way, or hey, you did a good job. So I think it's the collaborativeness of freeing up the people to be creative, to try new ideas, and to talk with them afterwards and say, hey, did it work? Did it not? And build that experience. Because I do think experience is something. And as you said, you've had a lot of experience in the industry. And again, going to that resourcefulness to be a resource for them and to help them.
You learn from mistakes. You learn how, what to do, what not to do. But you have to know the why, the how, like everything. Like you said, you have to be open-minded. So if something happens or you experience something, you can talk it out with whoever it is. Like you said, your father, your grandfather, like why, how, any of that, and be open to it. Like if I do something and there's a better way to do it, or, like trying to be innovative and all that, like you have to keep up with what's going on around you, what's trending, what others are doing, what others are saying. I'm sure you take a lot of feedback and incorporate that into what you guys are making.
And I always say to people, not only to let me know, because maybe I can say we can't implement it now, or it's not right timing, but now I know about it. So later on, if the timing is right, I can say, hey, go back. Remember when you said this to me? Elaborate a little bit more. We may be able to incorporate it now. So I really try to hope that they can open up and speak what their thoughts are, suggestions, and know that we might not implement everything over time, but they have been heard and we can work.
As long as you're listening and you're open-minded to it, because that's a way that I've seen a lot of businesses like do well, like grow substantially, is the customer feedback and working with them. Because at the end of the day, those are the people using your product, right? If they have something to say, you take that into consideration. Those are my favorite companies, and I've had a really good experience with all of you and your team, because that's what they want. They want feedback. They want to know like how I'm using it, what I think about it. I'll be honest with them. Like, I don't hold back or anything. And I think that's what makes it great. And, we'll see 100 years or over 100 years, pretty soon.
And I had one of the great stories I had was when I was doing sales for one of our other markets. We had a father-son, and the father was like, I don't use your dye. Like I said, it was messy at first and all this stuff. And we know exactly where the leaks are. We don't need to. He walks away. His son comes back and says, give me a couple of brochures. He goes, if I come to you, if I have any questions, but I see this as the future. He has his ways, but we'll see how it goes. And about 2 years later, they did end up buying again, and they're using it.
There you go.
So
again, there's a use for it.
Yep.
I've had conversations with technicians that are for it, are skeptical, and at the end of the day, like I said, there's just like there's a scenario for it. Like it's not going to be something you put in every system that you come across. You're gonna know when you need it, and like myself, I'm glad that it's in my van when I need it, and it's always there. How do you see the company adapting to changing market trends and technological advancements in the coming years?
I think a lot of it goes back to that experience, is getting the team out there, speaking to, individuals like yourself, talking to our customers, our end users, and these shows. It's a lot of commitment to come here, but it's worthwhile. It's very busy, and to see where the market's going, see what trends. AI is something that is, I've had a couple conversations about that, even though it might not be actually with the product or our product, but how does it work in the business life and stuff. So it's just continuing to listen, to hear, and also one of the biggest things is to make a decision, make a thing.
So as far as like, adapting and trends and, advancements, you bring up AI, like I said, and it goes back to being open-minded. Like it might not be, directed to a leak dye, but like in your business or, whatever you can do, stuff like that can help you. So just, staying up to date.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
And,
appreciate it.
Congrats on 70 years.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for taking time out to speak with me. Thanks.
Does your dad want to jump in?
Hold on, Chris. Can you get Dad? Yeah. He's actually the better talker than I am with this. Well, say hello.
Come say hi. I think he has to come in the middle.
Come in the middle. Yeah, let me go there. You sit here.
Hey, how you
How's
doing?
it going, John?
It's doing good.
I've been telling people I've had the original case 20 years ago, and
Since you were a mere child.
when I got into the trade, and I told them the first time I used it, I got the dye all over myself. I learned, and now I know how to use it. So I'm more efficient.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But
Well,
congrats.
you know, it's the best technology for finding leaks. And,
I've used the glow seal actually too.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Good.
And people are like, does it actually work? I'm like, obviously, if the leak's too big, it's not going to work. But I've actually had a couple of systems where no callback is good. Like I don't hear from them. That's a good thing because it sealed it up. I go back 6 months later, system still has a charge in it when it was leaking every other month before. So I can attest to actually on the glow seal sealing up a couple of systems. So that's helped me a lot.
Oh, awesome. Well, great. Good to hear that. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming by. I don't know if you want to wave to this phone right here.
Hello. Hello. Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Adrian, thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for
Appreciate
giving
it.
us the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.